Hey folks, I'm Private Hudson, and this is Alien Rage Unlimited, a sci-fi first-person shooter developed by City Interactive and released in 2013 for the PC, the PS3, and the Xbox 360. City Interactive is a pretty weird developer. Based in Poland, they're known for creating either mediocre point-and-click adventure games or mediocre first-person shooters, such as their Sniper Ghost Warrior and Terrorist Takedown series. Was City Interactive finally able to overcome their legacy of mediocrity with this title? Well, with a name like Alien Rage Unlimited, the odds aren't exactly looking in their favor. In Alien Rage, you play as a space marine who sounds like Steve Blum, who goes to a space planet to kill space aliens because they stole some space stuff and killed a bunch of humans in space. I mean, the guy really does sound like Steve Blum. It's driving me crazy. During the end credits, none of the voice actors are listed. It's bizarre, really, because the voice acting in this game is actually fantastic. It wouldn't surprise me if this generic protagonist really was voiced by Steve Blum. Anyway, moving on. Alien Rage describes itself as an old-school shooter. This couldn't be further from the truth. There's a 2-weapon limit, in addition to a pistol that you carry with unlimited ammo. There's regenerating health, there's a checkpoint-based save system with no other way to save, and the level design is fully linear. This is a far cry from old-school shooters. Alien Rage is very much a modern shooter. Its 14 levels consist of nothing more than following a single path to the end of the level. Along the path, you kill everything that gets in your way, and occasionally fight a boss. Alien Rage launched for a mere $20, and despite the budget price, it's a game with very high production values. It runs on the Unreal 3 engine, and as you can see, it's a very good-looking game. The options menu leaves a bit to be desired, though, as you can only control the resolution, texture quality, shadows, anti-aliasing, and post-processing. There are a lot of individual effects crammed into post-processing, which I wish I could manually alter. There were several times where I turned post-processing to the lowest setting possible, so if you see any footage that is of low quality, that's why. I had to do it as the barrage of ambient occlusion, motion blur, depth of field, lens flare, among other things, made it difficult to see enemies in some of the areas. On the bright side, Alien Rage does have an FOV slider, although it was not available at launch and had to be patched in at a later date. As good as the graphics are, Alien Rage suffers from what most lazy Unreal 3 engine games suffer from, a very limited color palette. Things just look too fucking samey. We've gotten used to games like Gears of War and its clones that offer a color palette that consists nothing more of different shades of gunmetal, gray, and brown. Alien Rage isn't too different, as you'll be mostly seeing shades of black and dark blue. It doesn't help that every level looks the same and that the color of the enemies blends in with the environment. Despite being a linear corridor shooter, a lot of the areas that you fight in are decently sized, with a lot of room to maneuver and find cover. There are several sections of the game where you're given 2 paths to approach the same objective. This occurs as early as the second level. Enemies will only spawn on the path you take, so you don't need to worry about the other area. The inclusion of this to the game's level design is nothing special, but it does give the player some variety and helps break the monotony of most linear games where you do nothing but walk down a single path. I'm surprised more linear shooters don't employ this really simple tactic. Combat is without a doubt the best part of Alien Rage. It's visceral and gory. Guns pack a huge punch. Point-blank shotgun rounds result in enemies getting their bodies split apart with their limbs flying everywhere. Headshots always cleanly remove the skull. Many areas of the game are littered with explosives, and setting one off results in a chain reaction of the rest going off, leaving the battlefield littered with blood and limbs. The weapons are your standard affair: assault rifle, SMG, shotgun, etc. There are human and alien counterparts for almost every single one. While the weapons are pretty generic, each weapon has an alternate fire mode. You can store up to 5 pieces of ammunition for it. Using alternate fire results in some pretty devastating effects. The alien shotgun fires a huge orb that levitates and throws enemies around. This is amazing for sequences where you're fighting on bridges. The rocket launcher fires 3 homing rockets. The best part about alternate fire is that it doesn't use any of your regular ammunition. Lastly, Alien Rage has a Bulletstorm-esque scoring system. Chaining kills and killing enemies in creative ways awards you with more points and Quake-style announcements. Using these points, you can unlock perk slots and equip perks that give your character passive boosts. These perks I'll go over a little bit later, but this scoring system is half-assed in general. With Bulletstorm, you had a whip and plenty of environmental hazards throughout the game that entice the player to make wacky and stylish kills, like kicking an enemy into a fucking cactus. Alien Rage has none of that. The only environmental hazards are exploding barrels, and your character doesn't have any unique abilities. So basically, the only fancy things you can do is blow enemies up, get headshots in a row, and chain kills together. It doesn't feel like there's any other rewards. The system is very underutilized. I really wanted to like Alien Rage, but unfortunately it has 2 humongous issues that make this game an extremely frustrating experience. An experience so frustrating that at times the game is unplayable. The issues are a ridiculous difficulty and bugs Alien Rage offers 3 difficulty settings, which are all pretty insulting to the player. The quote-unquote easiest difficulty is called Challenging, and it reads that this is designed for people who are new to shooters. Okay. The second difficulty is called Hard, and says that this is for people who are experienced with shooters. Lastly, there's Brutal, which is for those who are seeking a challenge. I've been playing shooters since I was 4 years old. The first game I ever played in my life was Wolfenstein 3D. Obviously, I'm experienced with shooters, so I went for the second difficulty. I quickly realized that the description of the difficulty doesn't match the actual name of it. Challenging truly is challenging, and Hard is fucking borderline unplayable. Your health pool is very small, and it takes a while for regeneration to kick in. The first enemy type you encounter has a grenade launcher attachment to the rifle. The second enemy you encounter shoots rockets at you. The third enemy you encounter is invisible and runs up to you to stun you, rendering you unable to move or attack for a few seconds. All of these enemies are introduced in the very first level. Enemies have near perfect accuracy. Cover cannot be destroyed, but it can be damaged. So if the aliens shoot a few holes into the barricade you're crouching behind, you can be sure that all the next shots will magically go through that fucking hole and into you. Explosions do an insane amount of splash damage, and are not stopped by cover, so taking damage from them is usually unavoidable. A rocket exploding by you is enough to lower your health to the point where the next bullet will kill you. Please remember that enemies with rocket launchers are the second ones you encounter, and you'll be fighting them in pretty much every single fucking battle. Despite using the same weapons as you, the aliens don't suffer any of their drawbacks. When you use the alien assault rifle without stopping, it quickly overheats and you need to wait a few seconds for it to cool down. When aliens use it, they can just fire it continuously. When you use the sniper rifle, it takes a second to cock the next bullet into place. When aliens use it, they fire one round after another, without changing their aim or even reloading. The AI is extremely aggressive. Once a battle starts, enemies will quickly start advancing towards you. At times this makes the game brain dead easy, as you can just sit behind cover and wait for the aliens to show up one by one as you blow their brains out. Other times it makes the game painfully frustrating if there are enemies with rocket launchers, as you're never given a chance to heal. You'll be getting charged and attacked up close by aliens with assault rifles and shotguns, while constantly getting hammered from long range by rockets. There are parts in the game where you enter a huge room and next thing you know, enemies are spawning all around you, swarming you from every direction. You will constantly die over and over and over again. As far as I'm concerned, the only way to get through these sections is through sheer luck and spamming your alternate fire everywhere. Now take everything I've just said and shown you and combine this with the game's biggest fucking bug: checkpoints. Sometimes when you die, you are fast forwarded to the next area in the game. This is a bug. Somehow, someway, the next checkpoint was triggered for me. This happened to me several times. Once it was actually helpful, as I skipped a tough fight and was teleported to the end of the level. More often than not, it made this frustrating and cheap game even more frustrating. Watch as I die in this clip, and instead of respawning at the previous checkpoint, I somehow respawn in the next one that I didn't even trigger. The enemies that I didn't kill off previously are all still alive, and all the enemies from the next section are spawning. Basically, I'm getting raped in the ass from all sides because the game bugged out and decided to teleport me to the next section of the game, while keeping all the enemies who weren't killed off previously still alive and actively hunting me down. This is not an isolated incident. This happened to me several times, and not just to me. Search the Steam forums or read some of the negative reviews. This is an actual legitimate bug that was never fixed. Now let's get back to talking about the difficulty. Here's the first boss of the game. You fight him at the end of the second level. He has a minigun that is almost impossible to dodge, and it shoots through cover. He also shoots rockets at you, and the entire arena is covered with explosive barrels. Once you get him down to half HP, regular enemies start spawning in the room as well. He then starts shooting napalm to your location, which also does damage over time. Basically, it's pretty much impossible to regenerate your health in this fight. No matter how many times I tried, I couldn't fucking beat him. First boss. Second level of the game. Alien rage? More like human fucking rage. What was the solution? The solution was to hide behind the first wall on the right. Bullets don't go through these walls, and they seem to be the only kind of cover that doesn't get damaged. However, there's an explosive in front of each wall. So, blow up the explosive first, then run to it and hide behind it. Wait for the boss to walk up to it and have him stupidly fire point blank into the fucking wall. Peek out to the side and unload your weapon into his shoulder. After taking some damage, the boss goes into a stunned animation. When that happens, pop out and unload all of your alternate fire into him. Once he starts carpet bombing you with napalm, Pray to baby Jesus and you should eventually win. Also, switch the difficulty to challenging and do not touch hard ever again, unless you've beaten the game and decide to replay it. And God knows why you'd want to fucking do something like that. Alien Rage is some of the worst inverse difficulty that I've ever fucking seen. Basically, the way to play this game is to play it on challenging first. The unlockable perks I mentioned earlier turn this game from a frustrating piece of garbage where you constantly get killed over and over again into a walk in the park. There are 4 tiers of perks. Each tier has 3 perks, and each time you unlock a tier, you unlock an additional slot to equip a perk. The first tier is forgettable, with the choices being increased clip sizes, increased total ammo capacity, or reducing the stun duration from cloaked enemies. The second tier is when the game starts becoming somewhat fair. Here you choose from dealing 10% extra damage with human enemies, 10% extra damage with alien weapons, or an increased rate of fire for all weapons. I equipped the one for fire rate and extra damage with alien weapons, and the game finally became somewhat playable. Once you reach the third tier, Alien Rage becomes a walk in the park as you unlock 50% bonus health. 50% bonus health. Then the last tier? Fucking forget about it. That piss-weak pistol that you carry with you that has infinite ammo? Well, let's double the ammunition for it and make it as powerful as a sniper rifle. You literally get a gun as powerful as a sniper rifle that has infinite ammo, a huge clip, and a fire rate that is almost automatic. What the fuck? This retarded form of progression left me dumbfounded and speechless. Alien Rage is only 6 to 7 hours long, but it'll take you around 2 to 3 hours to unlock the second tier of perks. You know, the one where you get bonus damage with the guns, and the one where the game finally becomes a little bit fair. All Alien Rage needed to be a mindless, enjoyable romp was to fix the bug with the checkpoints and to fix this broken inverted difficulty. That is all it fucking needed, and it failed. Miserably. Did anyone playtest this? Who thought this was a good idea? Make your character weak as shit in the beginning, but once you beat the game, you can replay it on the hardest difficulty and just walk around one-shotting everything. Here's how I would have fixed Alien Rage. First of all, I'd have 4 difficulty settings without any of the insulting descriptions. Easy, normal, hard, brutal. Simple. I'd remove the perk system completely, but apply some of those to the game permanently, such as increasing your character's health and increasing your damage. Having a larger health pool and weapons that deal more damage will allow you to run and gun, instead of hiding in a fucking corner for half the game, waiting for the aliens to show up one by one, only to walk into your shotgun. Lastly, decrease the amount of explosive weapons enemies are carrying, decrease their accuracy slightly, and if possible, put in a quick save system. That's it. Done. And I would have had an enjoyable, fun, dumb shooter. Obviously, some of these things would need to be tweaked slightly, depending on the difficulty setting. But in my opinion, these are the only balance changes this game needed to be good. When you're having fun in Alien Rage, you're having fun. But for every minute of fun you have, there is an equal minute of frustration. Even in firefights, where you get a nice rhythm going, you still get killed out of nowhere because something, somehow, exploded off screen and instantly fucking killed you. Forcing you to replay the entire sequence again, thanks to the lovely checkpoint system. Only pick up Alien Rage if you are out of shooters to play, and if it is less than $5 or in a bundle. Otherwise, stay the fuck away.